Okay. With this one, it looks like I have more done than I actually do. A lot of it's indirect through kind of blending and lifting areas up and then just breaking those edges. That there's a lot of form in here that I'm not concentrating super hard on. I need to draw this in. It's more, okay, I need to cut out shapes that are around it, and that kind of automatically forms some of these areas. Some of this value in here I think is good. Like this, I'm not mad at all at this value in here, but this definitely needs to go darker. But I'm judging that based on just in terms of it should be darker than the lightest area that's over here. However, I know that this should be darker. So I'm not going to try to adjust this any place right now. I think it'll be fine value-wise until I adjust this dark over here, because this is probably a lot closer to how it should be than this is. This is a lot farther away, this kind of like dark band over there. So I'll start going in and pushing my darks. Yeah, you'll probably reach a stage, I think I'm pretty much there, where the vine charcoal will be used to adjust certain areas. Like I'll sharpen it and use it to move around like the edges of shapes. But I'm getting to the point where I can't really apply it to get any darker. It just kind of is floating on the surface. But I have pretty much everything, all the shapes and proportions kind of corrected for the most part. There's still something going on here, and part of that is, I think, I need to darken these areas and kind of get these shapes in. Because I've remeasured all this stuff a lot, so it should be pretty well on its way. So now I'm just going to go into vine charcoal very carefully, not compressed charcoal, very carefully to darken these areas specifically. I'll probably push this darker. I don't need to get all the way to 100% darkness right now. I probably just want to catch up to what I have in here, which I'm pretty sure is already pushed based on the lines with some of that pencil. Yeah, that's my basic strategy. And then I'll have to, there's some areas that something's wrong here, and it might just be that once I push this darker, this will snap into place, because it looks too dark right now, but that's because the value that's next to it that's supposed to be darker in here is the same value, which makes this look lighter, or makes this look too dark, rather. So darkening that should help push that into place. That's really all I'm doing, is being critical at this point of shapes, those super subtle shapes of kind of what's going on, and talking myself through, you know, why does this feel like this? What's wrong with that? His face is kind of lumpy a little bit, which is really fun to go in and draw these really subtle transitions, kind of like in here, you know, along the outline of his face. So capturing that will be really just in the stages of these subtle values at the end. I think this does need to be darker. And I like a lot of some of the lighter areas, some of this kind of, it's smushy in a good way, where there's a little bit of movement through it, which you, at a smaller scale, it's a little harder to do, so at a larger scale it's kind of nice to embrace those things. I'll probably try to keep some of that, but, which is kind of the plan. I want to keep the aspects that I really like that aren't affecting the accuracy of the drawing, but if they get in the way later on, I have to be okay with getting rid of them. Kind of like this. I like this shape. Some of the lines that are kind of just subtly there and here. Kind of the sweeping in here. But that's pretty much it, just darkening today. and continuing to criticize the shapes and relationship between the values as we expand into darker territory. Also, as I go into these dark areas, you'll notice I have that kind of vine charcoal boundary here, and then I don't I don't go all the way up to it. It's just kind of a smaller shape within that vine charcoal boundary, or the shape that I made with the vine charcoal. That way, when I blend it, I keep that transition of a dark to a slightly lighter dark, and then the soft transition that I have from the vine charcoal to the light. If you butt all the way up, you're really just redrawing, everything in dark again and making it harder for yourself. You want to minimize that, once you add dark, you're not just redrawing everything, you're just adding to the darkest spots.
I feel like it needs to come down just a tiny bit. You think, or no?
I feel like it almost needs to come up here for this angle. I think that's fine where it goes here, and it might be just rounded a little bit more in terms of scrutinizing that shape.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a huge problem, really. I would just, when you put in your darks, expand those boundaries more, because if you look at how much light you have in here, and how much there, that's already into the gray. The only spots that are kind of light are this or this. Yeah.
And make it a different.
Yeah, and then everything that you have that's this value, push it one more value darker, so it's separate from.
Probably 2 more Vine charcoal things before I get the compressed out.
Yeah, probably like that.
Can I have another piece of Vine charcoal?
Yeah.
I sharpened it to death. I had 2, so that's.
So another thing with darkening areas, when you're moving on to the pencil, I've kind of drawn out this shape right here, you can see, and then I've added the pencil charcoal, the compressed charcoal, in a series of lines that's pretty much as close together as I can get those lines. I kind of drew the boundary. I'm also erring on the side of, I feel like I might have to correct going this way, like cutting into the detail. So I haven't really gone a super hard edge there. It's just kind of the end of the pencil charcoal. And I know I'm kind of gonna have to darken this area, I think. So I'm totally fine with there being a little bit of a boundary right here because I know I can blend it back into this area. So one way that helps to make this blending easier to build up your darks is by kind of blending it together with the vine charcoal to begin with. This will help kind of push it into the paper. And then if you have a paintbrush, kind of grinding it in further. Like that. The paintbrush is good at not picking up, if you've gone through the steps of kind of building up these areas with the paintbrush and charcoal, or just blending it in with the paper towel. The paintbrush is good at not just like erasing it like the paper towel will in the darker stages. And it's good at grinding it into the paper a little bit better. And then I'll end up darkening this area anyway, so anything that's kind of like, there's a little bit of a line showing, which really isn't that big of a deal, but I know I can kind of blend that in more because I need to go darker here anyway, so.